When you do this exercise, it's not about just lifting up, because at the top, we don't want this position here. See how Chloe's really long here and short here? She's gonna get to her limit because this starts firing up and her glutes aren't getting any love at all. The goal is to load your hamstrings, to load your glutes and your core, not so much your lower back. So the first thing you need to look at is the height of the hip pad. If you've got lovely long legs like Chloe does, you're gonna need the hip pad a little bit higher. If you're like me and you've got short, stumpy legs, you may even need some plates underneath the feet just to elevate you a little bit more. So I'm going to get Chloe to adjust the contraption to where she needs it to be. Once you find your hip pad height, there's a little number panel at the side. Every time you get to this machine, you don't have to try and find your height. You know exactly where to take it to. See, when Chloe folds forward, the hip pad is at the crevice on the hip. So if the hip pad's too high, she ends up bending or rounding at the spine. But we want the hip pad to be at the crease of the hips. You're using hamstrings and your glutes. Every time she comes up, she gets her pelvis to tilt like that. So as she comes down, she unlocks her pelvis, and then as she comes up, she imagines that she's curling her tailbone to the back of the knees. And that's what gets her glutes to do the loading. It's not a lifting up motion. The goal is not to lift up, the goal is to push forward. The push comes from the hips. You have your license to add load if you can perform these body weight without your lower back firing up. If you feel your lower back firing up, get rid of load. Find your pelvic position at the top, so that's your glutes, hamstrings, and your core loading. See how Chloe's keeping the plate really close to her torso. Once you add load, don't think about the load, think about what you're doing with your body.